Thank you, Vineet. We didn't get the beatbox, so I will not even try on that. So thank you for that. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to MachineCon and a very, very balmy Goa. I think if coming from Bangalore, you feel the nip in the air and Goa just soothes you when you land over here. I see some new faces and I see some familiar ones as I had the pleasure of connecting with some of you at the summer edition of MachineCon earlier in the year. A big thank you to Bhaskar and the AIM team for giving me this opportunity to address this audience, this group, who are actively driving change and transformation in the global business landscape. So thank you for being an attentive audience. When I was given the opportunity to do the keynote, I had to come up with a topic that resonated. I started to research, and I figured that whatever I'm going to say is probably already known to this audience. So I hope I am not going to be preaching to the choir, and some of what I say resonates. In the next few slides, I do not intend to reinvent the wheel, rather recount the journey that we've taken so far, and while doing so, assess our current state, probably hazard a guess on the future state, and what lies ahead for us as challenges and opportunities. So let me start with the question, a burning questions. What do I do, or what do you do when machines do everything? I think that's the burning question. Will I lose my job to AI? Will the bots do my job? So that's the burning question. But isn't that a reality? The answer lies in how we adapt, innovate, and lead in this era of exponential change. Let me just start with the... So I'm going to go through a few slides talking about the early years, which I kind of say the baby boomer era or the Gen X era. It started back in the 80s and 90s. Then we'll discuss about the now, which I term from that perspective as a millennial generation, and speak about the growth trajectory that we currently are on, and then speak about the next, the reinvention phase of GCCs, which is basically your Gen Zs, Gen Alphas who are taking over the world, and how we do it, what is the opportunity, challenges, and what could be the call to action. So I won't keep you for long over here. I've been given 30 minutes. I intend to wrap it up in 20. So let's see how fast we go. So how many of you read this book, Start with a Why? So there has to be always a why in terms of what you're doing. I think as kids, we were always very curious, and we would always ask the question of why. Why is the grass green? Why is the sky blue? Why is the mountain go uphill and downhill? But as we grow, we kind of lose the why because we are told to typecast ourselves in certain ways of thinking. So we lose our why. So let's rewind to early 80s and 90s when India began its journey as the back office capital of the world. So let's start with the why. Again, as I said, the quirky take that I have, this was the baby boomer generation and the Gen X generation. But what was their why? For years, the narrative was simple. India was the world's back office, a place for cost-effective operations. We came, we outsourced, and we saved money. Because in business, it does not matter what you do, but it matters why you do it. So why was, the focus was very clear. It was cost arbitrage, execution excellence, scale and productivity. We built trust globally through IT support, finance and process management. Offshore hubs became the backbone of global operations. Let's say the era wasn't glamorous, but I have to say it was transformative. If that era hadn't happened, I don't think we would all be sitting in this audience, or I would be on the stage discussing what we are doing and what we intend to do in the future. It established India's reputation for operational efficiency and reliability and laid a foundation that still powers our growth today. So let's fast forward. The why, it's redefined. It's not just about cost saving anymore. That era is decisively over. The GCCs in India is no longer a cost center. It's an innovation hub, a strategic engine, and a critical driver of business transformation for global corporations. We've evolved beyond merely achieving cost efficiencies and now play a crucial role in fostering collaboration between parent companies and their offshore affiliates, while also providing access to India's extensive talent pool, capacity for innovation, and a robust digital infrastructure. So we moved from being cost-saving centers to strategic global innovation engines. India's GCCs are no longer just support. They are drivers of technology, digital transformation, and regulatory excellence. We lead in Gen AI adoption, ESG practices, and governance maturity. So that's our now, which has been redefined. I'm sure you all agree we are in this phase where we are doing a lot more strategic work than just low-end, cost efficiency, execution kind of work. And the numbers, don't they tell a story? GCCs in India are a key driver and a pillar of India's services-led economic growth. The numbers, as I said, do tell a story. We've generated an impressive 64 billion in revenue, employing close to 1.9 million people, and our trajectory for growth is clear. By 2030, the revenue is expected to soar to 100 billion. That's not scaling, that's reinvention. With India aiming to be a $10 trillion economy by 2030, GCC-led services exports play a vital role in driving growth and providing a stable source of foreign exchange. India hosts about 55% of the world's GCC footprint, market size of about 70 billion for 2025, projected to grow to about 110 billion by 2030. Employment, as I mentioned, is at 1.9 million today. By 2030, 2.8 million. That's a huge number. And a CAGR of about 11 to 12%, GCC is growing from 1,800 to 2,400 by 2030. So that's our market. Now, what's the impact? This is not incremental growth. This is a structural shift in the way we work. I stopped short of saying double engine ki sarkar because India is now a dual engine of growth, capability creation, and compliance maturity. We are shaping global strategies, not just executing them. So what's next? What does India need to do to become a totally global brand? The word I heard back in early 2000s when I used to work with British Airways was, it was the world's most famous global airline, but we coined a term called glocal, which I still use. So what do we need to do to become a truly global brand, one that honors the global mandate and resonates deeply with the unique landscape of India? So what are the foundational advantages just that India offers? It's three key pillars. One is the talent pool. India's transformation from a low cost to a volume value market is anchored by its vast demographic dividend. We have a very, very aspirational middle class, the size of which is going to grow in the next couple of years. We have 5.4 million technology professionals. 65% of the population is under 35. Our median worker age is actually 29. And the country ranks third in the world for producing STEM graduates annually. So that's a lot of talent pool that we can harness to do what we want to do in the future. This isn't just volume. It's a pipeline of high value, high caliber, digitally native talent, which we need to harness, train, and employ in the future if we want to be a 10 trillion economy by 2030. What else do we have? The second point, which is the cost and the infrastructure edge. Operational costs in India are approximately 40% lower than that of Europe and US, offering substantial cost effectiveness. I know we always speak about the fact that it's not about cost arbitrage, which I agree, it's not primarily about cost arbitrage, but the fact is we can't run away from the fact that we are 40% cheaper than what the world is operating at. Along with the cost arbitrage, what we're getting is strategic value. Earlier, we used to get execution value. Now, with the cost arbitrage, we get strategic value. So I think we need to leverage that value that we have with cost and strategy and move forward. The infrastructure from tech parks to seamless network connectivity provides an ideal environment from scaling high-tech operations. And I'm very carefully not avoiding the road infrastructure over here. I think if you come from Bangalore, you understand what the pain is to travel over there. So, but again, our infrastructure from tech parks, once you're inside, and the connectivity is seamless. The third point, the strategic shift to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. With escalating costs and intense competition in tier 1 metros, companies are now looking to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And the good part is that tier 2 and tier 3 cities, they have an anchor in a tier 1 city. Let's say for Bangalore, it's Mysuru, for Mysuru, it's Bangalore, and there are others like Coimbatore has Chennai. So they're anchored to the tier 1 city, and again, there's a lot of talent pool over there. There is a lot of digital native talent pool over there, which we again need to harness. These locations offer a compelling combination of lower costs and largely untapped skilled talent pool from strong local academic institutions. The governments are actively supporting this with incentives like tax benefits and research and development policies. So this is a strategic move that builds a more resilient and cost-effective talent pipeline. I also feel that there are other centers around the world, like the Romanias of the world, the Poland, Philippines, which are all coming up. Our tier 2 and tier 3 cities actually compete for the same value proposition that other centers are offering. So instead of looking outward to other centers or the European economies, India could actually leverage this tier 2, tier 3 and grow further into the heartland of India. So this is the Gen Z, which is reinventing the why. Again, I've used a lot of book references because I might have them on my bookshelf. I haven't read all of them, but I've read partially some of them. And this is one of the ones which I've read, which says, what got you here won't get you there. So what got us to this stage today is not necessarily going to be the one which is going to get us to the promised land tomorrow. So the same beliefs that contribute to our past success can also hinder our future success. The next decade of GCC growth in India will be defined by nano GCCs, small, agile, compliance-intensive hubs that specialize in niche domains. These centers enable global firms to integrate into India's ecosystem more quickly, mitigate regulatory risks, and access talent as needed. Nano GCCs will emerge as catalysts for innovation. High growth domains will dominate. And I mentioned some of them: semiconductors and chip design, AI and ML research hubs, biotech and pharma, telecom and 5G ecosystems, and EV systems and automotive AI-driven safety. So the advantage with India is quite clear. What's the opportunity? I mentioned it, and I've spoken about it. India's advantage is quite clear. Median age of our talent is about 29 years, a highly trainable talent pool, an aspirational middle class. Its size will double in the coming years. Growth in tier 2 and tier 3 cities anchored by tier 1 hubs. A culture of continuous learning and development. The future belongs to the centers that use this cultural depth, not just for service delivery, but to shape customers' journey, user design, and creative strategy for their global brands. India's strong AI ecosystem enables GCCs to engineer predictive, personalized, and ethical digital experiences for their parent brands. The narrative now must shift from what AI can do to how to make brands more humane, intuitive, and trusted. GCCs have become some of India's top employers for tech and digital talent, investing in high-skill roles such as data science, cybersecurity, cloud engineering, automation, product design, and AI research. By communicating a clear, inspiring employee value proposition and fostering leadership visibility, GCCs can convert culture into a competitive advantage. So this is not our moment to lead, not just in technology, but in ethics, governance, and human-centric innovation as well. Along with the opportunity does come a bit of challenge. So what are the challenges we are likely to face? So this is your journey from why to how. So you've answered the why, you've reinvented the why, you've redefined the why, but now how are you going to do it? How do you navigate a dynamic geopolitical landscape? I think we've all been facing that issue of higher act tariffs. Can you use it to your advantage, or is it a deterrent to us? I feel that in this challenge lies an advantage where you need not send talent to other geographies. You could rather have talent over here. And like I mentioned about nano GCCs, they can proliferate and profit from these kind of acts. So in challenges, we should find opportunities. Regulatory hurdles. It's a complex landscape. I come from a banking background, so we are highly regulated. A lot of people I know who worked in healthcare, again, a very highly regulated landscape. So how do we overcome the regulatory hurdles? Ethical implementation of AI and new technology. I think people haven't discussed this. They've just gone ahead and started discussing pilots and tools, which probably could cause problems. So building guardrails around ethical use of any new technology, because we're not digitally AI native. We are trying to put a primer on an old wall, and the paint will chip off if the foundations of the wall or the foundations are not clean enough. Then clearly, I think the leadership and talent gaps are the ones which we're going to face in terms of growth. Talent development will continue to be both an opportunity and a challenge. India has vast talent pool, gives its competitive advantage, but the rapid growth of the tech ecosystem also intensifies the war of skills. I think we hire from each other. Our ecosystem is such that we are hiring from each other. We're hiring a lot of lateral talent, but we're not concentrating more on the grad talent. I think that could be a challenge because we need to really start developing learning and development programs or skill development programs, which could really put our grad talent as AI native, and they are the ones who could in future build a narrative of how the future GCCs work. So must prioritize continuous learning, cross-functional training, skill development, and partnering with academia, government bodies, and edtech platforms to find digitally native talent. Retention is emerging as a key blind spot. Only 6% of the leaders treat it as a strategic priority, despite rising compliance-linked responsibilities. So I think if we look at how we could retain our current talent, that would be a great achievement for us. While I used to work with British Airways, there was a saying, our chairman used to say, it is far easier to retain one customer than it is 5 times more difficult to find a new customer. I think with talent, it's the same kind of narrative. It is far easier to retain one than to hire 5 new ones, so that I think we need to focus on retention of our talent. AI adoption is rising, but only 19% of the leaders believe it can meaningfully scale workforce capacity. So human expertise will remain central. Most enterprises are scaling AI before they establish one capability that determines AI effectiveness, that is domain intelligence. So I think we need to work collaboratively in terms of implementing our AI solutions. It might not take our jobs if it is implemented with humane intervention properly. So what's the call to action? The burning question remains, how do we get ahead in the world of AI, algorithms, and bots? The answer lies in my previous sort of words, in upskilling, leadership, design thinking, and accelerating impact. To close, in the end, it doesn't really matter, but that's the song. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Everything's going to be all right. So AI, all right. Yes, human expertise will remain central. Machines will do everything. But leadership, creativity, and ethical judgment will define success. In the coming decade, GCCs in India will contribute not just to GDP and employment, but will also help shape a global framework for responsible enterprise leadership. Thus, India's GCC story is one for continuity and transformation, moving from growth to governance, and from scale to sustainability, and from compliance to global confidence. So before I wrap up, I do want to thank TeamLease Digital and SPACFin partners for providing the data I used in this presentation. And with that, I come to the end of my presentation. So thank you for being an attentive audience, and let's make the future happen together. And I hope you enjoyed the rest of the 2.5 days that you have in Goa to the fullest. Thank you.